Most men think fatherhood is about raising a boy into a man. But it's not. Fatherhood is the moment you realise your son is watching you become who you really are. Not who you say you are. Not who you want to be. Not the mask. The real you. And the terrifying part, the beautiful part, is that one day he will carry the part of you that mattered. Inside every man, there's a spark, a glint of hope, a fire of desire, a silent knowing that he's meant for more. Not in an egotistical way, in a truthful way. There's something in me that I can't explain, but I know it's real kind of way. And that spark burns bright when you're young. It burns when you're innocent. It burns before the world gets its hands on you. And then life happens. Life doesn't come at you with a villain costume. It comes with responsibility, bills, breakdowns, rejection, humiliation, time, pressure, and the quiet accumulation of compromises you didn't even notice you're making. And the spark doesn't always go out. No. Sometimes it does something worse. It calcifies. It turns to stone. Not because you're weak, but because the world rewards conformity more than truth. It rewards compliance more than intent. It rewards comfort more than courage. And if you're not careful, the very thing that made you you gets buried under what works, under what's safe, under what will people think, under I'll do it later. And later becomes never. And then you become a father. And you think your job is to teach your son how to live. But really, your job is to protect something. Something fragile. Something sacred. Not in him. In you. Because whether you know it or not, a father doesn't just raise a child. A father raises the part of himself he hopes survives. He tries to parent that spark through. He tries to amplify the courage. He tries to pass on the discipline. He tries to pass on the standards. He tries to pass on the willingness to stand alone. He tries to give his son the parts of him that were true. Before the world tried to turn him into a consumer. Before the world tried to turn him into a number. Before the world tried to turn him into a compliant little unit. He tries to give his son the light, but never the shadows. Never the inadequacies. Never the limitations. Never the doubt. Never the fear. Never the parts of him that folded. And this is where most men break. Because most men live inside a lie. A lie they don't even know they're telling. They think, my kids don't see my flaws. My kids don't know when I'm scared. My kids don't know when I'm insecure. My kids don't know when I'm exhausted. My kids don't know when I feel like a fraud. But let me tell you something, brother. Your kids see everything. Not the details. Not the adult context. But the signal. They feel it. They feel your nervous system. They feel your emotional weather. They feel the pressure in your silence. They feel the tension in your smile. They feel the truth behind your "I'm fine." Kids don't need evidence. They don't need proof. They don't need a confession. They have something stronger than logic. They have attunement. They have instinct. They have the ability to read the room, like their life depends on it. Because when you're small, it does. So your son doesn't just see your discipline. He sees your avoidance. He doesn't just see your strength. He sees your coping mechanisms. He doesn't just see your standards. He sees your shortcuts. He doesn't just see your ambition. He sees your hesitation. He doesn't just see your love. He sees your fear of failing. And the worst part is, your son doesn't judge you for having shadows. He doesn't judge you for being flawed. He doesn't judge you for being human. No. He judges you for pretending you don't. Because pretending teaches him the most dangerous lesson a man can ever learn. That being a man means lying cleanly. That being a man means performing stability. That being a man means acting like you're unaffected. And then he grows up. And he becomes the same kind of man. Smiling. Functioning. Dying inside quietly. Because he inherited the mask, not the truth. Most fathers think they're teaching their son how to be strong. But what they're really teaching is what to do with your weakness. Do you deny it? Do you hide it? Do you medicate it? Do you blame others for it? Do you run from it? Do you turn it into anger? Do you turn it into distraction? Do you turn it into work? Do you turn it into silence? Because your son doesn't learn from your speeches. He learns from your patterns. He learns from what you do when nobody's clapping. He learns from what you tolerate. He learns from how you respond under pressure. He learns whether you repair after rupture or whether you pretend nothing happened. Strength is not never breaking. Strength is not never feeling. Strength is not being some stone-faced robot who doesn't flinch. Strength is being able to look at yourself honestly and not collapse. Strength is accountability without shame. Strength is ownership without theatrics. Strength is repair without ego. Strength is saying, "I got that wrong. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. I'm not perfect, but I'm real." That is strength. And when a son sees that, he doesn't lose respect. He gains safety because he knows my father isn't pretending to be a god. My father is a man. And if my father can face himself, so can I. Fatherhood is a crucible. Not because kids are hard, but because kids reveal you. They reveal your impatience. They reveal your control issues. They reveal your unresolved pain. They reveal your triggers. They reveal the places where you still haven't forgiven life. And most men don't want to be revealed. They want to be respected. They want to be seen as capable. They want to be seen as stable. They want to be seen as the provider, the protector, the man. But what if I told you? The greatest protection you can give your son is not money, not a house, not a car, not an inheritance, not even advice. The greatest protection you can give your son is a father who is internally coherent, a father whose words match his behavior, a father who doesn't preach discipline while living in avoidance, a father who doesn't demand honesty while hiding from his own truth, a father who doesn't demand excellence while making excuses. Because here's what's happening, whether you like it or not. Your son is going to inherit something from you. Not just genetics, not just habits, not just mannerisms. He's going to inherit a template, a blueprint, a way of relating to reality. And the part of you that mattered is not your achievements. It's not your bank balance. It's not your reputation. It's not what people say about you at your funeral. The part of you that mattered is the part of you that stayed true when it would have been easier to fold. The part of you that kept trying. The part of you that kept showing up. The part of you that refused to become bitter. The part of you that refused to become cynical. The part of you that refused to become a victim. That's the part he takes. That's the part he carries. That's the part that survives. And then one day, your son says something, or he builds something, or he makes a decision, or he handles pressure in a way you recognize, and you feel it. You feel that strange moment where reality folds in on itself because you're hearing your own truth coming back to you, filtered through him, refined, sharpened, upgraded. And it doesn't hit your ego. It hits your chest. It hits your core. Because it's not praise. It's proof. It's the nervous system recognizing what I installed, held. It survived the world. It survived the noise. It survived the distractions. It survived the pressure. And now it lives with him. Your son doesn't need you to be spotless. He doesn't need you to be some perfect father. He doesn't need you to never mess up. He doesn't need you to never lose your temper. He doesn't need you to always know what to say. He needs you to be real. He needs you to be accountable. He needs you to be consistent. He needs you to be safe. He needs you to be present. He needs you to be willing to repair. He needs you to be willing to admit, I'm still learning. Because the most damaging thing a father can do is pretend he's finished. Pretend he's complete. Pretend he's beyond growth. Because then the son learns growth is for the weak. Reflection is for the fragile. Change is for the people who failed. No. Growth is for men. Reflection is for leaders. Change is for fathers who refuse to pass pain forward. And this is the part most men don't want to hear. You can hide your mistakes from your son, but you can't hide your patterns. You can hide your failures, but you can't hide your frequency. You can hide your past, but you can't hide your nervous system. If you carry unresolved anger, he'll feel it. If you carry resentment, he'll feel it, even if you never say a word. So the real fatherhood work is not controlling your child. It's not controlling the environment. It's controlling your own signal, your own inner alignment, your own integrity. Because your son will copy the part of you that leaks, not the part of you that speaks. So here's the reframe. You don't parent your kids away from your flaws. You parent yourself into alignment. So your kids don't inherit them. You don't raise boys into men. You raise yourself into a father. And the boy becomes a man by proximity, by exposure, by witnessing, by repetition, by watching you stand back up. That's why the greatest fathers are not the ones who never break. They're the ones who break and rebuild cleanly. They're the ones who show their sons pain is real. Life is hard. Pressure is constant. But you don't become weak. You don't become bitter. You don't become small. You become better. Because one day, your son will carry the part of you that mattered. And you don't get to choose what that is with words. You choose it with how you live. You choose it in your discipline. You choose it in your honesty. You choose it in your patience. You choose it in your repairs. You choose it in what you do when nobody sees. Your son doesn't need you to be perfect. He needs you to be true. Your son doesn't need you to be a hero. He needs you to be present. Your son doesn't need you to be a statue. He needs you to be a man. Because the part of you that mattered is the part of you that stayed alive. And if you're lucky, you'll get to see it. You'll get to see him repeat your truth. You'll get to see him refine your words. You'll get to see him carry your standard. You'll get to see him become the continuation of what you refuse to let die. And in that moment, you won't feel pride like ego. You'll feel pride like relief. The line held. And that is legacy. Your son will carry the part of you that mattered. So make sure the part that survives is the part that was true. That's the work. That's the conversation. That's the standard.